Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So this is going to be the first of three kind of year-end review kind of recap videos. So it basically is broken up to let you skip any of them that you want. If you want to watch all three, you want to watch 2 out of 3, that's really up to you. Or you can skip them all. They're all going to be clearly labeled. Basically, the 3 parts are going to be, starting with this one here, that's just going to be the year in review kind of related directly to the channel. Me talking about a couple of videos and things that stood out for me in the channel in the year, kind of how the channel itself went as the year went on. And I'll throw in a couple of stats and things like that, just as a chronicle of kind of where the channel started at the beginning of the year and then kind of where it ended up. And then at the very end, I'll talk about specifically what my goals are for 2021, kind of what I want to do with the channel next year. And in this year end. The second video is going to be the pickups video, and that's going to be where I'm going to talk about my top 25 Medano pickups of the year. And I've started looking through some of the tape, and it's surprising if you really go back and look at it. Obviously, with the way this year has gone, with the weird, ebbs and flows of it, there was a lot of stuff early in the year that I started going through, and I'm most of the way through April into May, and there was a bunch of stuff there where I was like, oh, I actually picked that up this calendar year. So that was in and of itself very surprising and kind of eye-opening. Most likely, though, I suspect it's going to be pretty heavy loaded towards the back. It's going to be back-loaded because there were some really great kind of Grail level cards that were picked up towards the end of the year, but I'm going to try to put a nice little mix. And as usual, when I do one of those, it's not going to be by value. It's going to be by my favorite pickups of the year. And then the cards that are not Medano related are going to be in their own little top 10 inside of the same video. So all the pickups will be all together in one video. And then the third video will be kind of my goals video, which I did one for last year as well. And I think I did one for the year before as well. I might have done one for 2018 into 2019, and then 2019 into 2020. And then this one will carry that forward into 2021 and kind of set my goals for that. Look at how everything went down, how I met my goal, how I either met or fell short of my goals this year, and kind of which ones want to carry over and which ones I want to change going into 2021. So that's going to be kind of the year-end review as far as the channel is concerned. Now, the first thing I want to start with is just kind of a simple thing, a couple of very basic stats. When I was looking through it, I was kind of surprised myself. On the channel this year, so counting the video you're watching right now, I've done 90 different pre-recorded videos like this. Which kind of shocked me, to be honest with you. And then with my plans that I already mentioned to you, then probably we're looking at 2 more pre-recorded videos. So that'd be about 92 to end the year off on. So that's kind of, that shocked me a little bit. And that doesn't include the live streams, which is another thing that I want to talk about in a couple of minutes when I get to kind of some of the things that's still along the way. But I can tell you that last night, so I'm recording this on Monday. So last night on Sunday night into Monday morning, made for a tough morning this morning to get up early. But I did a live stream that ended up being joined by Jeremy Lee of Sports Card Live, which was great. It was great that he popped in to join. Bobby Burrell, as well as Joe Perot, who is one of the very supportive members of the community who's been hanging out in the chat and then also in the comments from time to time. So they all kind of joined me and we ended up having a chat. And that resulted in a live stream that kind of tipped the scales and got the clock going at about 5 hours and 21 minutes all told, including the first section when I was there by myself doing kind of a monologue with the chat, and then the part where they joined in, we had almost like a panel discussion on a bunch of different topics. It was kind of fun the way that the conversation flowed, and that's the kind of thing I enjoy with the live streams. And I'll get to kind of my plans for that going into 2021 in a little bit. But it was a good example of kind of the thing that I like to see happen, where you don't come in necessarily with any kind of a plan, but then things kind of come together. And then that's what makes doing the channel this way kind of fun for me. The other thing is, as a result of that, that was the 19th live stream I've done. So if you could think 90 videos now this year, plus another 19 live streams on top of that. So that's already 109 pieces of content. And a lot of them, especially the live streams, that one was not the longest, 5 hours, 21 minutes. The longest one is still the one that I did, the first kind of conversation interview I did with Carvin Chung, which still holds the record, 5 hours and 26 minutes. And then between the 2 conversations I did with Carvin, that they tipped the scales at about 10 hours between the 2. So if you're looking for long-form content, we've got it as far as those live streams are concerned. But anyway, so those are just some kind of fun stats. Second thing I wanted to talk about is that even though I don't put too much emphasis on it, I can tell you that the channel added about 1,400 subscribers this year, which more than doubled what it had at the beginning of the year, which is awesome. It's kind of crazy, the amount. And many interesting ebbs and flows along the way. Needless to say, 2020 has been interesting for a lot of people in a lot of ways, in a lot of context. From the hobby standpoint, it's been crazy. And then from hobby content making, it certainly reflected that as well. So that's been a lot of what the 2020 year has gone in. So I'm not going to cover all the different things that happen all the way along the way, but I'll give you a couple of kind of moments and landmarks that kind of hit. And I've got my notes here real quick that I want to refer to a little bit so that I don't forget the specific dates. But I'll give you a couple. The first one, I started off the year. So the first video I did was on January the 5th. This was after the year-end goals video that I had done at the end of 2019. So that's pretty normal, nothing too crazy there. And that's kind of the videos that I've been following along with. Out of those pre-recorded videos, a good chunk of them are kind of the pickup videos, but I only really did about one a week where it was applicable, especially in the early part of the year. I wasn't doing them weekly. So there was a lot of other content. And the next one that I'm going to give you is actually a good example of what led, I think, to some of that content that continued throughout the rest of the year. I did a video on February the 10th, 2020 on the channel. And it was actually like I was opening a blaster box of, I believe it was 2018 Panini Donruss. And because I found it at the Walmart at the time, which, how novel, I found it at retail. But the point of the video, and the reason I brought it up, and it was kind of a significant video as it turned out, was that it was me discussing a baseball collector, Mike, who had a kind of controversial video around that time. So if you remember what it was, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you can certainly go back and watch that video. It turned out to be kind of a popular video for me at the time. But the reason I felt like bringing it up, I'm not going to rehash the original point of the video. You can watch the video if you want to check it out. You're more than welcome. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is that it turned out that it was, at the time I had no idea that it could have been, but it turned out to be the starting point of a lot of the different things that led to a lot of the content that I was making later on in the year. The first part of it was that it was the first time I took, instead of doing like a showcase or a box break or some kind of content, I was playing around with it still. I wasn't doing it consistently to the way I was towards the year as the year went on. But at that point, I decided, something came over me, and I decided that I felt like I was going to share my opinion on kind of what was going on at the time with that video that Mike had put together. And as it turned out, a lot of people caught on to it, ended up checking it out, and that's how some folks ended up seeing my channel for the first time. And I can tell you that Amish Dave Archer, who's been around the channel, especially later on in the year, that was the first time he got a chance to see my channel, and in turn, that's how I think Brent, Near Mint Musings, also saw that video around that time because I think they both commented on it. And then that has led into some very fruitful relationships and discussions and comments back and forth. And I've been on Dave's podcast, on his channel, and a lot of those things. And then with Brent, he at some point introduced Matt from the Essential Credentials, again, someone who's going to come up again in kind of this year in review as well, to my channel as well. So a lot of these people that I've ended up kind of either talking to or collaborating with, or at least exchanging comments with throughout the course of the rest of the year, a lot of that started with that video. The other thing that was kind of critical with that video that was interesting is it was my first foray into kind of more of a deep dive opinion. So while I was opening that blaster, I was giving my opinion on what was going on at the time. I was commenting on a thing in the community, but that was the first time I took a stab at doing something like that. And then obviously as the year would go on, I would then take more deep dives into other topics. I'd talk about some of the nuances of rookie cards. I'd talk about when collecting stopped becoming a kid's hobby and my opinions on that. And other deep dives into other kind of topics, data analytics. And then that led into other things that continued through the channel the rest of the year. So that's why I think it was kind of a crucial video in terms of this video itself. Maybe the topic isn't as relevant anymore as it was at the time. But that was this year. That was in February. And that led to a lot of other things. It had a kind of a butterfly effect. The one video led to a lot of folks checking out my stuff that hadn't seen it for the first time. And it also led to me kind of changing the type of videos that I included in my content. I wasn't really doing box break and opening videos anymore. I had played around with it for a while and it just wasn't working for me. And I ended up leaning more into, if something interesting comes up and there's a hobby topic I want to talk about, I can make a video about it, just like this. So a lot more of that came out of that, and then I think that probably led the channel down a much better direction. So that was a very critical video for those reasons. The second one that I want to give you is, speaking of live streams that I mentioned earlier, the first live stream was actually on August 6th. So as it stands now, I've done 19 of those, and most likely with a little over, this week will be Christmas, and then with next week being New Year's, I will probably get in one more live stream before the end of the year. I'll probably shoot for doing another Sunday kind of chill stream because I do enjoy those. I will tell you right now, for the channel-wise, going into 2021, I intend to keep going with the live streams. The only thing I'm not going to commit to yet is I'm still not going to commit to a set schedule. The Sunday live stream, though, is probably the best shot. It is kind of a sweet spot, although I do still love the opportunity with the stream format to be able to talk to, interview, and have discussions with collectors and people doing different things. So there are some folks that I've had on in the past that I would probably like to bring back at some point in the future, and try to mix it up as well and bring in maybe some other content creators and some other folks doing some things in the hobby that I think would be interesting. So I'm always open to suggestions on that. That's something I'm willing to explore and look into, but we'll take it as it goes. But I think there's going to be more live streams in 2021 because I've had a lot of fun with it. There's a great group of people that hang out in the chat. That's been a lot of fun too, and it's led into some other enjoyable things. So as far as the content itself on the channel, the regular videos, the other thing as far as 2021 is concerned, I'm going to continue with that. The pickup videos are going to continue unabated. That's going to happen. But the videos where I'm doing different deep dives into different things, that's going to continue. It's just going to be a matter of whether I see or hear something or story or something that catches my eye that I think would be interesting to talk about more. Another thing that's going to continue in the new year that I started this year a lot more since I started getting into, obviously other people saw my stuff, we were able to communicate and do all that. I'm going to try to keep doing some of those collaborations, either bringing people onto my channel to talk to them about different things, or if the opportunity presents itself, I'd be happy to go on their channel and talk about whatever that's going to be. So that happened a little bit this year. I was on I was on the first After Hours with Jeremy from Sports Card Live, and I was on a couple since then as well. And then I did a cameo appearance on one of his regular episodes, and then I was on the Insert Revolution podcast with Amish Dave Archer and Steve. So I popped in to talk about a couple things there and ended up hanging out there for a couple of hours. So I've been on a couple other channels. Oh, and I also was on the Card Cutter channel with him and Canadian Cards Mike, another Mike. And we ended up doing the Survivor Series mock draft, which was a lot of fun. That's where I got to flex a little bit of wrestling knowledge from my heyday watching way too much wrestling. I don't get to do that too much, so it was kind of fun to play and wade in those waters and be competitive at the same time. While you gotta make fun of other people's draft teams. That's the whole point. So expect that I'll try where I can. I'm not going to push it on anybody because it's got to be something that is mutually interesting. If there's something that I can come on there and contribute, then I'm happy to. And if they would like me to come on, then I'm certainly willing to explore that. And in the same vein, I'll reach out to some folks if there's something I think that could be kind of fun to have, either on a live stream or on a video of any kind. Collaborations, I am open to it. So I think there'll be a little bit more of that in 2021, but I'm going to leave that open. No set plans, but that's kind of the things that I'm thinking about. So I'd love to kind of keep some of that momentum going as far as some of those videos are concerned. And I am really happy that I was able to, especially once we got going, I was able to be really consistent with the content, and I'd like to keep that going next year. So as far as kind of the goals for the channel and kind of those things, that's kind of where I stand on it. So there's going to be more. The plan is to keep it going. And like I said, I am open to suggestions. If there's anything that you haven't heard or haven't seen from me in the channel that you maybe would like to see or hear, I'm definitely open to hearing some more of that because I'd like to make it a little bit better and make it a little bit more interesting in the coming year, because I think there's a lot of things going on in the hobby that are going to be very interesting. And I think there's an opportunity to be a contributor to that and start pass out more information and talk about some of these things and get people to think about them. And that's really kind of one of the things I like to do. So that'll be it for this one. We're going to try to keep this one here. Like I said, part 2 will be where I do the pickups of the year. That one's going to take me a little bit of time to work on, but I'm making progress on it right now. So I don't have that much time. So that video should be coming out in short order. And then the very last video of the year is going to be the goals video, because I've kind of started writing down some of those. And once I've got that completed, that'll be the last video of the year to finish things off. Most likely we'll have one more pickup video as well before the end of the year, but we'll definitely kind of see what the mail gods have in store for us for that. But I think there's some fun stuff that definitely will either come in at the end of the year here, or rolling into January. Could be a very interesting month with some very interesting pieces. Some of the spoilers I've already given out, but if you stay tuned to the channel, there's plenty of it there. So again, comments or questions are welcome as always. Thanks as always for watching. For those of you who have been around for most, or if not all of 2020, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for participating. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up whenever you do. And we'll hopefully be back for some more stuff for the rest of the year and then into 2021. Thanks very much.